To make the bow, you'll need to know how to make a slip knot, a single crochet, a half double crochet, a double crochet, and a slip stitch. Watch our shorts to learn how to make them. To make the bow, we're going to start by making 30 chains. We'll be making a slip knot and then start our chain process. To make a chain, it's basically yarn over and pull through the loop. And that's it. And we're going to keep doing this until we get 30 chains. Just remember to move up the fingers that are holding the chain after each stitch. Once we get to the end of the chain, we're going to count them to make sure we did the correct amount. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. For row number 1, we're going to start with a chain 1, then we're going to go into the next stitch with the single crochet, and then of course we're going to add our stitch marker into that single crochet. In our next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet, and to do that we're going to yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over, pull it through. Now we'll have 3 loops on the hook. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Our next stitch is a double crochet. To do a double crochet, you yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over, pull it through, then you'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops, and that is the double crochet. We're going to continue with our double crochet until we have 11 of them. After we finish making the 11th double crochet, we're going to make a dip in the bow. So to go down, we're going to do a half double crochet in the next stitch. This half double crochet is a bit shorter than the double crochet, but a bit taller than the single crochet. In the next stitch, we're going down to the single crochet, and that kind of ends half of the bow. So then we're going to start with the other half, and that starts with a single crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to go up, so we're going to do a half double crochet. So that's the yarn over, pull through, and yarn over and pull through all 3. Now we're going higher with the double crochet. We're going to continue making these double crochets until we make 11 of them, and then we're going to go back down to finish off this side of the bow. Now we're at the end of our double crochets, and we're going to go back down to a half double crochet, and then finally down to that single crochet. And now we're done with the first row of our bow. If we look at what we crocheted so far, you can see the little dip that we made in the middle of the row. For row number 2, we're going to start in the stitch right after the knot. We're going to put a single crochet in that first stitch. Then, of course, we're going to get our stitch marker and mark that first crochet. In our second stitch, we're going to make the half double crochet. You can see the stitches better on the other side. Then we're just going to finish the rest of the sequence for this side of the bow, which is 11 double crochets, a half double crochet, and then a single crochet. Then we're going to start with the other side of the bow, which is a single crochet, a half double crochet, 11 double crochets, a half double crochet, and a single crochet. And being crazy fast, we're finished with row number 2. And now we're moving on to row number 3. But before we do that, we should count our rows. We haven't been doing that. So let's count our last row. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and number 30. We're going to start row 3 by making a single crochet in the next stitch as we keep going around our project. We're actually at the first stitch of the first row that we made, as indicated by the stitch marker. We're going to remove the stitch marker and put it in our new first single crochet. Then we're going to continue with the sequence, going into a half double crochet. Then we're going to do 11 double crochets, a half double crochet, and then a single crochet to finish one side of the bow. Then we're going to start the other side of the bow with a single crochet into a half double crochet, then 11 double crochets to a half double crochet, and ending with a single crochet. And once we finish that last single crochet, we're ready to start that last and final row. For the fourth and final row, we'll be doing the same sequences that we have on the other 3 rows, which is a single crochet, a half double crochet, 11 double crochets, a half double crochet, a single crochet, and then to the next side of the bow, a single crochet, a half double crochet, 11 double crochets, a half double crochet, and finally a single crochet. Now we're ready to put the bow together. We're going to find the front side of the bow and then fold each end to the center of the bow. Then align the stitches of one side of the bow with the other. Once the stitches are aligned, we're going to sew it together with a slip stitch. That's basically pulling the yarn through both of the stitches. We're going to find the next 2 stitches that are aligned and make a slip stitch through those 2. Then we're going to make one final slip stitch through these 2 stitches in the corner. Once that's completed, pull the yarn all the way through, leaving about 18 inches so that there's enough to wrap around the bow and to attach to her head. Once we have the tail pulled out, we're going to flip our bow over so that we can see where the bow dips down. We're going to align the dip in the middle to the dip in the back. Next, we're going to take that tail that we left and we're going to slowly begin to wrap it around the bow. Bring the 2 sides together in the middle so that it makes that middle of the bow dent. Wrap the yarn around a couple of times so that it's nice and secure and to give the bow a shape. To make that middle dent more visible, stick in a crochet hook or a pen and then shape it with your fingers. Then tighten the yarn around it. Once it's tightened, you can pull the hook out of the bow. Then use your fingers to shape it until you're satisfied with how it looks. Once you have the shape like you want it, take a darning needle and put it through the middle strands that wrap around the bow. It's easy for the darning needle to get stuck at this point, but just go carefully under and just pull it through. This should secure the middle of the bow. Next, remove any excess strands. That basically completes our bow, and now we just need to add the middle. For this bow, we're going to sew a flower in the middle. Since we fastened the tail end on the back, be sure that you bring it towards the front, since we'll be sewing the flower on the front. On the flower, you'll see a lot of little loops. I'm just going to choose one of the white ones that are in the middle. Since the loops are really small, the needle might get stuck in the yarn. If this happens, use the loop side of the needle instead of the pointed side to poke it through. Once the needle is threaded through one of the loops, take the needle and thread it to a loop on the opposite side. Once it's threaded through, pull the yarn up. Now, place the top of the flower to the top of the bow and then bring the yarn to the back of the bow. Then thread the needle into one of the back strands in the middle of the bow. This should secure it in place. And now we're done with our Hello Kitty bow, and we can add it to our Hello Kitty head. To place Hello Kitty's bow on top of her head, I'm using this knitting needle so that it stays in place. I'm going to poke it in an area on Hello Kitty's head where I think the bow will look good. I'm going to look at it in different angles to see if this is the place I want to sew it on. Once I'm happy with the placement, I'm going to add a second knitting needle to keep the angle in place. With the bow in place, I'm going to move the Hello Kitty so that it's in a comfortable angle to sew. We're going to start by going through one of the stitches on her head that is closest to the middle of the bow. It's kind of hard to see, but once we have the yarn pulled up, we're going to go through the stitches on the bottom portion of the bow. Here we put that stitch towards the end. Then we're going to go back into the stitches on her head, and then again back through just the bottom portion of the bow. Once the section of the bow is secured on, we could remove the knitting needle. Now we're just going to do the same thing, but on the other section of the bow. We're going to put a stitch in the middle of the bow before going to the other section. Then we're going to put a stitch on her head towards the other section of the bow. We're going to keep using the same process that we've been using to sew on the bow to sew on this side of the bow. Once we're finished with sewing this section of the bow, we could remove the knitting needle. Then we'll look to see if we want to sew the bow on more securely or if this is enough. If we want to add more stitches, we should add more to the top of the bow so that it doesn't fall forward. We'll add more stitches to the top section of the bow. Once we're finished securing on the bow, we're basically done with Hello Kitty's face. And now we can see how cute she looks with her new bow.